This is the third video in my Winter Games 2020 series. Today I want to talk about the metaphors that Forrest used in the book. I'm going to play a few minutes from the New York Times 2016 interview where Forrest talks about the metaphors in the book, how people overcomplicate the poem, and why the 200-footer didn't find the treasure chest. In addition, I want to include the interview that went viral on the internet over the weekend, where Forrest talks about correlating the hints in the book with the clues in the poem, mixing them up to create a catalyst, and then, supposedly, he says, we can find the treasure chest. Yeah, right.
So you were from Texas originally, right? What brought you here to Santa Fe?
I had a hard tour in Vietnam. I was shot down twice. I took battle damage. I lost roommates, and I lost 22 pounds and didn't even know it.
Oh, wow.
Because I never got out of a flight suit, and we didn't have any scales. And I came home, I was mentally tired and physically tired, and I think you read that in my book. I tried to portray that by covering Philadelphia up with my thumb, and Santa Fe was a place that the world would stop and let me off. The Vietnam War, and I talked about it in My War for Me, had a profound effect on me and thousands and thousands of other people. And I don't know, I hate to say this, but until you've been there, I don't know that you... When I was laying on the ground, I've been shot down in Laos, laying on the ground. It was damp. It wasn't cold, but I didn't sleep much. But I had a lot of time to think, you know, and I touched on that in my book too. I said a kid has a lot of time to think in a graveyard. A lot of people, nobody has made that connection with being shot down in Laos. But I think that's a metaphor. One is a metaphor for the other one.
You know, again, about your poem, which is a very nicely written poem, and I can see there is a path there that you're guiding people. There have been many people who have discussed whether your words don't mean they're representations of something other than what they say. You know, that a blaze, when I think of a blaze, I think of a fire. That it's not necessarily a fire, that it's a representation of something else.
Well, a horse has a white blaze on his forehead. I mean, there are thousands of different... If you look up blaze in a dictionary, I mean, they could write a whole book about what a blaze is.
So the words mean what they mean, but not necessarily the most obvious meaning, perhaps.
One of the things that I really didn't anticipate, and I tried to anticipate everything, was that people would complicate the poem so much.
And what do you mean by that?
What did you just say to me? Well, your last question to me.
If the words mean what they are, or if they represent something other than.
Why would you ask me if the words mean what they are? Are you not complicating the thing by throwing that idiosyncrasy into the question?
But I don't know you. Maybe you are one of those people who likes to complicate things.
Therein lies one of the problems.
Not knowing you? Is that one of the problems? In other words, does solving the poem does finding the treasure require knowing you, meaning understanding how you think?
No.
Or can I be a complete, like I am? I didn't know a thing about you. I got your book. I started learning about you. But the first thing I did was I wanted to read the poem. So I looked for it. I found it. And I sat there and I read. And, when I got to this point, start with
when the treasure is found, it will be found by somebody who read my book, then read the poem over and over and over again, and then read my book again, looking at every word and every sentence for a hint that will help them with the clues that are in the poem that they've memorized. Does that make sense? when you read this book, I mean, I don't even use the word damn in that book. I don't say hell or any of those things.
Right.
It's very straightforward, and yet people make the poem and the book so complex. And I've been widely quoted as saying, "Don't mess with my poem," and yet everybody messes with my poem. Cynthia messed with my poem. She didn't go to she manufactured where warm water halts. It doesn't exist. There's no warm water there under that bridge. She manufactured that because she wanted to make room for her blaze.
But you've said, and I've read, that people have come within 200 feet of the treasure. Is that what it is?
And that's an approximate, but it's pretty close because some people have told me exactly where they were, and I recognize that spot, and I know that it's about 200 feet from where I hid the treasure. To my knowledge, no one has come closer than 200 feet.
And why is it that, I mean, is it that they gave up before finding it?
They what?
They gave up before finding
No,
it?
they didn't give up. They left the poem.
That concludes my video regarding what Forrest said in the New York Times interview that took place in 2016. The next clip is going to be something that was put on the internet over the weekend, but I do not know the source or the time frame of when this interview took place.
There are very, very subtle hints in the text in my book that won't lead you to the treasure chest, but they'll help you with the clues. If you can correlate the two and mix them up into a catalyst that'll give you this, then you can find that treasure chest.
I hope you found this video both insightful and enjoyable. Let the search season begin.